Welcome back, everybody. We have tonight, we're going to talk about the Enlightenment theories and thinkers. This is objective 1.2. It's identify the Enlightenment theories that have impacted significant American doctrine. Just to go over a couple of things that we've been talking about for the good of the group, all supplies are due by Tuesday, so please make sure that you're getting those things in. I will come around and make sure that you have everything and collect things from you that I need, and then you, of course, get to keep things like your notebook and your dividers and things like that. Also, make sure that you are signed up for Remind. If you haven't already, I have a lot of people who have already signed up, so please make sure that you're doing that so that you can get notifications. I don't pester you about things, but this is something that's really important. All right, have a parent or guardian make sure that you fill out the parent contact link on my website so that I can get that. This is a replacement for them having to sign the syllabus and things like that, so please make sure that you're doing that. Quizzes. Think this is new for some people. Don't be caught off guard. You will have a quiz at least 2 or 3 times a week, so you're going to get used to it. There's no point in complaining about it because I'm not going to change it. This is the way that I have done things, and it is to ensure that you have mastered the concepts and the objectives as you go along, as opposed to just waiting until the test and saying, whoops, I didn't know anything about that. So get used to it, be prepared for it, make sure that you're looking on the calendar for things in advance. Start thinking about nighttime. It is on a first-come, first-served basis, so find the clipboard in my classroom and make sure that you sign up. I can only accept the first 20 people who sign up. All right, so taking notes. Hopefully you realize that mental floss is no joke. I ask questions that should easily be answered via your notes from the night before. So if you did not take good notes last time, or you felt that there was a better way that you could have tried it or done it, then try different methods until you find one that works for you. You can print off a kind of a guided note-taking form from my website if you want to, or you can just handwrite the notes, whatever's easiest for you. I will tell you though that by midterm time, those guided notes are going to be taken down and you won't have access to them anymore. We're getting you prepared, and more so for your junior and your senior year, even as early as August of your sophomore year. So please make sure that you are aware of that and working towards your own goals of being able to take notes from these PowerPoints. All right, on a need-to-know basis, guys, the objective for today, again, is 1.2, identify the Enlightenment theories that have impacted significant American documents. Our vocab for today is Hobbes, Locke, natural rights, social contract, Rousseau, popular sovereignty, self-government, Montesquieu, separation of powers, and checks and balances. So by the end of tonight's lesson, you should have a very good idea about what each of those things is. So starting out with the easiest of all of them, Thomas Hobbes said that basically people were evil. And because people were evil, we needed a very strong government in order to kind of counteract that. So he was very uplifting. John Locke came after that. He said that people have natural rights. These are things called unalienable rights. And these are things that cannot be taken away from you, that you are born with. These are things like life, liberty, and property. So if you started kind of quoting those out loud and saying, oh, I know some of these, you probably do know 2 of them. Life and liberty are both found in the Declaration of Independence, which was written by Thomas Jefferson just a few years after this. But life, liberty, and property is what John Locke said, and he says that no legitimate government can take those things away. And so when the American colonists started to look at things and they started to think about how both their life, their liberty, and their property were being taken away basically without their consent, this is what started to kind of gear them up for their own independence. Next up, we have JeanJacques Rousseau. Yes, he was French. He was very much French, but he had some really good ideas, and you see a lot of kind of bold-faced terms on this page, so please make sure that you're understanding what each of those things is. At the very top, you have the social contract theory, and basically what that says is the government gets its power from the people. Okay, so we give the government the power to be able to run itself. Without us, the government wouldn't be able to do what it needs to get done. Now, it also says that we have the right to be able to tell the government what to do. So that second, or that first little dash right there is talking about popular sovereignty, and that is us telling the government what to do. And when we narrow it down to just one word, it's basically voting. Okay, that's how we easily can tell the government what to do. So we'll get into those things a little bit later on in this unit towards the very end. The next dash over here, you see that citizens agree to give up part of their freedom to the government in exchange for their protection. So you and I can't do whatever we want to. We give up some of our own freedoms in order to be able to be protected by this government. So if the government can't protect you anymore, or it's not protecting you, then we have the right to be able to replace that government. And that's kind of what the people were starting to look at. So not only is the government denying our life, liberty, and property, so says John Locke, but now JeanJacques Rousseau is saying that the government can't protect our rights anymore, and so we need to replace it. So you can see how all these things are kind of adding up towards the American Revolution. So the last thing that I have up here is that no man can have absolute power over another. Okay, so this is again relating back to that concept that we can find in the Magna Carta, where nobody is more powerful than anybody else. So that includes the king. So the king doesn't have total control and absolute power anymore. The last one we have up here is Baron de Montesquieu. Okay, so Montesquieu, and we'll understand why I say it so slowly and the emphasis on the syllables in just a second. So the separation of powers and checks and balances comes from this really important guy. So you can see a lot of these things when we start talking about our Constitution. He is found in all sorts of different places. So the separation of powers, it says the government should be divided into 3 different branches. So there are 3 different branches, and each of those branches has a different role and a different thing that it must do. It also talks about checks and balances. So basically, you don't want one branch becoming too powerful or more powerful than the other branches. And so you have to have systems in place in order to make sure that, let's say, that the legislative is not more powerful than the executive or than the justices. You will know the chart that just popped up really, really well by the end of the next. So make sure that you have everything that you need. Make sure that you have any handwritten notes that you want to use tomorrow for mental floss. See you tomorrow in class.